So is our chairperson ready to call the meeting to order? And our chair is, I believe, Shelley Strasser.
It's still me?
Yeah.
All right, then I
Oh,
will.
Charlie,
Call the meeting to order.
you'll do a good job.
Oh, thank you, Vince. Okay, I'll call the Community Development Block Grant Committee meeting of August 13th, 2020 to order.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't have,
Dawn, I'm going to take roll call.
okay.
Dawn Grosick,
I'm here.
Tasha Koa. Here. Caroline DeLully,
Here.
Nicole Brinkley,
I'm here.
Gracilia Hernandez, Elisa Olsted, Jason Hawk, or Justin Hawk, Jessica Lazinski,
Here.
Michael Plicka, here. Stephen Hook, Marcia Lawson, Hollis Patzer,
Here.
Shelley Strasser,
Here.
and we have Alderperson Keene and Alderperson Vitale.
Here, I'm still alive.
We have 9 present, and that was enough for our quorum.
I gotta kid a little bit, Patrick, you know?
I appreciate that.
Patrick, do you want me to bring the PowerPoint up or are you?
Yes, please.
Do that? Okay.
I just gotta do one thing quick, Sean. I gotta see if there's other people in attendance that I didn't recognize. I don't see any other people from the public. All right. Then we have approval of the minutes. Madam Chair?
Sure, no,
I will call for a motion for approval of minutes from, I don't have an agenda, so I don't remember, was the last meeting in March?
Yes,
Well-
March 12th, 2020.
Of March 12th, 2020. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, it's Dawn.
And a second.
I second it.
Any discussion, question, revisions? I'm guessing none. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Madam Chair, the minutes pass as voted upon there. It sounded like I didn't hear anybody opposed in this format, so. Just for everyone's knowledge, we are on YouTube Live on the city's channel. So we're gonna record this and have this available for the public after for their viewing. If you have any questions on Zoom here tonight, as I present, there is a chat function in which you can put something in there, and I believe Sean will work to monitor that as we do our presentation here this evening. My name is Patrick Schloss. I'm the Community Development Manager with the City of West Allis, and some of you might recall I've been doing block grant here for a while. Luke Radomski was part of this team, and he's now has taken a position with HUD. So I'll be your master of ceremonies in a way as we present tonight. Tonight is an informative meeting, so there's nothing that is action. We have no action tonight. This is just a review of all our open block grant items. You received an agenda and a staff packet that had various things, and we're going to kind of go over the block grant program, the general rules, changes, what plans govern what we're planning to do with block grant applications. Right now, the deadline for 2021 was Wednesday, this last Wednesday. So the applications have come in. So we're in September, we will be approving the recommendation that goes to council on the use of fiscal year 2021 community development block grant funds. So there are two types of plans when it comes to the community development block grant program. There's a 5-year plan, which last year there were some goals outlined at the August meeting that would go into the 2020 through 2024 consolidated action plan. So that's a 5-year plan for the community and how we're looking to use the funds and how to address community needs. And those community goals and objectives are outlined, I would say, on your screen if you have it available there. So redevelopment, abandoned, underutilized industrial sites, eliminate slum and blighting influences, address the needs of low to moderate income neighborhoods, expand economic opportunities, decent and affordable housing, and delivery and provision of providing social services or outreach programs. Now, the big covenant of the CDBG program is to assist low to moderate income people. That's pretty much the premise. Whether you tear something down to address blight or provide a service to a low to moderate income person, everything that is done under CDBG funds is to help a distressed or low income neighborhood receive an investment of block grant funds to improve the situation. You can go to the next slide. So when you think of our CDBG program, in the past, we're an entitlement program. So we receive funds from the federal government based on our population. And I can't emphasize, I'll have a slide later, the census, all the money that is received from the federal government for CDBG is based off census figures. So the census is very important to generating how we receive the entitlement funds. So we receive around 1.2, almost $1.3 million in CDBG funds annually that are budgeted. And then we partake in a consortium. So what the consortium is Wauwatosa, West Allis, and Milwaukee County. Now that consortium is relative to the home funds, but they now have made us all work together on block grant funds. We get our own amount, but we have to apply through the consortium and keep all our plans consistent on timing. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. You can go to the next slide. So when you think of redevelopment and underutilized industrial sites, you might have seen some transformation around the city recently, whether it's 68th and Mitchell with the new behavioral health hospital under construction, or the demolition on South 70th Street of the Odalis Chalmers Manufacturing Complex, where there is a large development. Part of CDBG is to do planning, coming up with long-range plans to redevelop corridors in our city and to attract investment in private revitalization of properties. So when you think of that, you think of the West property, the 177 new apartments that are fully leased. So that property that development is very successful. And then planning the next phase, and there's an image of that on the screen, what will be happening in that area, whether it's attracting commercial use and another apartment building. That's all up in the planning and negotiation stages right now. Well, we recently conducted, I'd say February, I say that recently because this year seems to all have blended in some way or another, but we did a Highway 100 corridor study on how to revitalize from the southern, near on Morgan Avenue, all the way to the interstate on the north, 116th on the west, and then to the interstate on the east. And we came up with a long range kind of vision for this corridor to attract investment and think about how we can transform Highway 100 from a highly vehicular oriented area to more of a dense residential, more attractive uses where you can stop at one place, get out and walk, and not have to just go to a parking lot and parking lot and parking lot that can do your commercial activities. Make it more of a place of a destination. You can flip through those slides, Sean. Eliminating slum and blighting influences. Exterior code enforcement is a huge program that we fund annually with the community development block grant funds, is to go out and look at properties within certain block groups to make sure that property owners are reinvesting in their properties and addressing conditions of blight. We have programs within our block grant program, housing rehab, and we also do housing rehab through our TIF districts if you're over income. A lot of our programs are based on income, as I mentioned earlier. So if we can provide a loan to fix up a property using CDBG funds, we have that available. Or there are TIF dollars if you're within a half mile of a TIF. So if properties are being cited under exterior code, that's an important aspect. We also do commercial facade grants. Sean, you've jumped a few slides on me here, but 68th and Mitchell used to be a foundry that was blighted. That's another case where taking care of these old rusty dinosaurs that we have and addressing them to attract new investment. And that's where the new behavioral health hospital is currently under construction. It's a 40 million, 120 bed facility by Universal Health Services. You can keep flipping. You can kind of see it's under construction, and it's expected to bring 250 jobs to West Dallas. Addressing the needs of low to moderate income neighborhoods. Now, this is done in many aspects, whether it's improving the parks, the infrastructure, or the programs, reducing crime. It's a multifaceted approach. It can even be planting trees in a corridor so that's more livable, more sustainable of a neighborhood, helping create fun spaces. Roosevelt Park, or planning closing like between Kegel's and the public table, and creating an ice skating rink, using public spaces effectively. That's one of our highest, lowest, low income areas in the city, and coming up with a better vision. Working with neighborhood associations. We now have, I believe, 5 off the top of my head. Rose Hill, East Alice, Liberty Heights, Orchard Hills, and Rainbow Gardens. So, and Fairview. So that's 6 actually. So there's a number of neighborhood associations that are very important to helping get citizens become more engaged in our city and helping create an arm for communication. You can proceed. Expand economic opportunities. That's really to help create job opportunities, help individuals receive the education to open a business. We work with the Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation. They provide micro enterprise training. Micro enterprise is defined as businesses with 5 or less employees. So that's what WIBIC is focused on. They do provide financing as well. We also partner with them on Kiva. Kiva is a crowdsourced funding for starting a small business or expanding a small business. And our city's new market tax credit arm provided funding to provide matching financing to individuals looking to open businesses. We're celebrating 1 year next week, and it's funded 6 small businesses. So that's pretty very exciting for the city to have Kiva here in our city and creating opportunities for people. And it's really unique how they have to crowdsource their first portion of what they're looking for, and then we can match. And if you're looking at our downtown, that's created Sway Tea, and they opened up next to Aggie's. So it's a nice addition to our community. So it's a success in my mind. So next item. This is just a comment from Tall Guy in a Grill. We did some financing with them a few years ago, and we did a facade grant on the property. They moved to West Dallas because they said they're putting their money where their mouth is. The development by the farmers market in the National Avenue quarter, were very excited that we're pro-business and trying to help. So having programs available, such as our loan program and Kiva, and working with WIBIC has created many opportunities within our city. And decent and affordable housing. That's where I mentioned before, housing rehab loans. The idea is to help low-income people stay in their home and fix them up. We offer low interest rates and flexible terms in order that people can fix up their property and have a quality place to live. You can go to the next one. Delivery and providing social services and outreach programs. We have in the past funded job training activities, funds programs for the youth. We reduce crime through awareness and maybe services for recreational activities for the elderly or disadvantaged. We have a homeless outreach program that we currently fund. So those are kind of the initiatives if you think of social services. The primary goal, and this is important to remember, is that 51% or more of those benefited by a program must be low to moderate income people. So for example, if we provided a loan to a business and they created 3 jobs, 2 of those jobs would have to be for people who are low to moderate income. And that's defined as a single individual, someone who makes around, I believe it's $49,650 or less on an annual basis. And the low income is defined by household, not by individual. Now, 70% of all the funds must be used for low to moderate income people. And no more than 30% of the funds can be used for slum and blight removal activities. You can go to the next slide. So as I mentioned before, when you think of all these different things and how HUD determines what West Dallas receives, The census is important right now. Get out and make sure you fill it out and tell other people to fill it out. It really helps define who we are as a community, and that's how a lot of grant programs are funded, and these activities help. Now, if you think of West Dallas, in our recent plan, the 5-year plan, we had to update our service area maps. The map that you see on your screen right now is early 26, I believe, 2006 census data that showed 51% or more low to moderate income people in those block groups in census tracts. The blue area is a census tract. The red line delineates the different block groups within that census tract. On to the next one. This is the new map that shows under the 2015 American Census Fact Finder information, shows the block groups that are 51% or more low to moderate income people. You can see the map has changed a little bit between the previous years and the new one. Now, if you go to the next one, now groups or programs that we funded can select an entire area as this is our service area, and that area has to be contiguous. So the green map here from the previous years shows how programs can say, I'm going to do planting trees in census tract 1009 way on the west side of the city because it's eligible as a service area. If you go to the next map, if you average the city out at 51% average in the largest contiguous area or aggregate area, this is the new map. So you can see the service area has gotten reasonably or significantly bigger. You can go forward. So Holly came to our public input meeting, and she was very nice to share some thoughts. When I put this here, we did an input meeting for 2021, but last year when we did the meeting in August, we gathered public input on where all funds should be used, and I think it was, again, elderly, helping the neighborhoods, very, very much aligned with the goals that we just previously outlined. So in review of the funding level for 2020, so we budgeted last year $1.4 million in some change, 1,440,306. The actual amount of money that we received was 1,486,317. And this is for $46,000 more. So we did have an increase over what we budgeted. And we did send an amendment to common council to reallocate some funds. And I'll outline that a little bit as we proceed. So one of the unique things, and again, census information, CDBG and COVID. This is the year of COVID. That's why we're all wearing masks tonight or on Zoom. A lot has changed. We received a separate CDBG allocation of $762,000 to provide services for diverse situations that are impacted by COVID. So I have the budget here on the screen on what was approved by Common Council. $76,200 for administration, $152,400 was provided to the health department to do awareness and community outreach, whether it's the masks that they were doing or signage that talks about wearing your mask. Those are some of the outreach programs. One of the unique things that we did was fund of food and meal delivery. At the time of setting this up, we didn't know how that was going to come together. But what was created by the health department was if households met certain income requirements, they can get a voucher from the health department and use it at the farmer's market for healthy food choices. And I thought that was a great use of those COVID funds. So it not only helps our farmer's market, but helps people with healthy food choices. Mortgage assistance, we have $127,680,000. We have to do some more marketing of that. We haven't had anybody apply for that yet, but I think we're gonna have to promote that or realign those monies somehow. Rent assistance, the state did allocate a number of funds after we had this set up. So this is to help people who are with 3 months rent assistance if they are facing, they lost their job, etc. So we do have that program set up, and we contracted that out to community advocates. We did a business restart assistance, $210,000. Our goal is 42 grants, and we've done very close to that. Not all the money's out the door yet, but we provided $5,000 grants to businesses that have brought a full-time job back or retained a full-time employee. In each business, I personally have gone out and visited them, make sure that they were open, and made sure that they provided us all the data and then handed them the money. In fact, the other day I was at a business, they had their power shut off and the money was going to go help get their power back on. So to me, that's a success. As well as micro enterprise, WIBIC did some, excuse me, let me go back. The restart assistance was for businesses generally between 5 and 20. We amended it to 1 to 20. And that's only after WIBIC did a round of 1 to 5. And there were a number of businesses that applied to us and WIBIC, and it got a little weird, but we wanted to make sure we helped everybody. So there's a little bit in change left yet on that program, but I just wanted to bring that to the block grant committee. You can proceed, Sean. I think that went backwards. So, and tonight's, we're on item 6 now, if you're following along in your agenda. And this is the update of programs that were funded in 2020 and what programs are going on and which ones have been paused because of COVID. And it's an important issue. So each year we fund projects, and these are the categories where activities fall under. So it's administrative, public service, housing rehab, economic development, or public facility improvements. So under administration, no more than 20% of the annual entitlement can be used for administering the CDBG program. So that is for doing all the financing, record processing of disbursements, following up with HUD, preparing the plans, doing meetings like tonight, things like that. You can proceed. And then we also do fair housing under this category. And that this year that's kind of been put on a little bit of a challenge, but we did have children do their posters, do their essays, and then we couldn't hold our poster contest because of COVID, but we are getting things out to the winners. Actually, I was up in the office today and they had all the bags, and families will be able to come here and get their recognition for their at least participation in the program. So in the CDBG administration of the money that was budgeted, 254,402, 77,602 has been expended, and we're at 176,799 and some change left at the halfway point for the year. You can proceed. Public service. Now this is a category that is, I would say each year, and when it comes to applications, we're typically oversubscribed. Public service is a category that's limited under the block grant program at no more than 15% of your funds can be used for public service activities. And this is to provide services generally to low to moderate income people, whether it's an area or by a clientele. That means each person has to fill out their income to be able to be verified as a low to moderate income individual. So on the community service officer, we do policing right throughout the whole city. However, what a community service officer does is extra patrols, extra activities that are not done in other areas of the city. So this is something that's different and unique. And this is to serve generally several block groups on our east side and provide outreach and extra patrols, maybe presence in the park, generally Liberty Heights activity. So of that program, 40,000 was budgeted, 24,680 has been spent, which leaves a balance around 15,000 and change. Frail elderly home services. We had a little hiccup in 18 when Interfaith suddenly closed up. There was some problems with them as an organization. We did contract with a new group called ERAS, and they are doing great. They have 387 unduplicated elderly residents that were served. Sometimes when it comes to our spending, we're a little, I see that I have extra 2 there. They've actually spent $4,680, I believe. And I just have an extra 2 in my presentation there tonight. I apologize. So you can proceed. Graffiti removal. This is an activity where we have retired officers go out and investigate graffiti and then clean it up and remove it. They have a budget of $3,200 and some change. They've expended $2,289 to date. That leaves them a balance of $982. So they are actively out there addressing graffiti in our city in our low to moderate income areas. You can proceed. Oh, gang prevention. I always hate putting these pictures in when I do the PowerPoint each year, and the gang prevention sends me a picture. It's usually a gun and a bag of drugs. I hate to show that, but that activity does occur. And this is extra activities in our gang unit that do investigations in our city. And you can see here, they had a budget of 19,000. And I think here with COVID and stuff, that some of that activity was paused, their investigations and things. So I believe they will use up their money by year end, but they've only registered roughly $540 to date of expenditures. And then Liberty Heights pool, the pool is closed. So we are working with the program manager on this to figure out how we can still allocate these dollars to children of that neighborhood. I think that we may modify their application as long as it meets the typical needs of servicing the LMA area, and figure out a way that we can get that money spent to help the neighborhood. Now, the pool won't be open, but it still serves low-income children in the neighborhood, and that's what's important. Healthy Homes Initiative, again, COVID has really impacted the ability for firefighters and health officials to go into homes to do carbon monoxide checks and doing lead testing and things like that. So we'll have to see how these funds are utilized as the year goes on. Family Resource Center, I know they have utilized their funds. I just haven't had a draw yet, but they've gone to an online platform of virtual sessions with children. Early on in the year, they had 63 individuals participating. 36% of those are children that have increased social competencies, and by participating in the Family Resource Center. So, next activity, WRTP Big Step. So they've had 13 individuals that have enrolled in their job training program. 2 were placed into employment with an average wage of $19.31, which is a success. They just haven't had any draws on the funds yet, but they are actively out there getting individuals. I think we're going to probably see some reskilling of individuals with the downturn in the economy, and this is a program that provides that. They do a lot of their outreach through social media, and then they get people to participate in the classes, and then maybe they become an electrician or some other upskilled career, and etc. Installing fire suppressant systems above the stoves, that was an issue that was presented by the fire department, and they wanted to provide devices that would go into homes to prevent kitchen fires. Of course, with COVID, they're not going out in the neighborhoods to do that, so those funds are on hold. I think they will be ordering materials to do that in the future, so they have some draw on those funds. WISH is a program that deals with domestic abuse. One of the weird statistics of our community, and unfortunate statistics, is that we do have high cases of domestic abuse. So we created, in partnership with the police department, a WISH program. Here we've had 17 adult, 18 children participate. Our goal is 50 individuals, and they have had 1 draw so far, but I believe this program will also use this money, but it's been impacted and slowed down a little bit by COVID. Milwaukee County Homeless Outreach, we did fund them $30,000, and they have been out there working with homeless, especially during this COVID time too. It's been important. They just haven't got me their semi-annual report yet, so I don't have anything to share tonight, but I did speak to them. They said, yes, they're gonna get us the report. They just are, with every agency, I think, a little busy right now, so we'll proceed. So under the public service category, again, the 15% cap was 203, 310,000, expended $27,620 to date, and leaves a balance of $175,689. Housing Rehab is a program, like I mentioned before. We provide low interest loans. We have almost 100 loans, I believe, in the portfolio. This is for, when I say housing rehab, they have to prepare a spec book, they have to close the loan. There's a lot of information that has to be put together to do these loans. It's usually a stack of paper that is, keeping our paper industry supporting in the state, but that's just the way HUD requirements are, verifying incomes and things like that. So $28,750 was budgeted, $9,000 has been spent, leaves a balance of $19,689.80. With 2020 funds, we've had 1 loan completed to date. There's a number of applications in. What we're seeing this year is the people filling out applications and then they just never come back. So we don't know if their incomes are changing or their situations are changing, just one of the challenges. Most of the ones that have been completed, we have had prior years still open. It's a demand-based program. So they're utilizing those prior year funds first. The same thing for the duplex. Again, prior year funds were used, and it has to be an owner-occupied duplex. That's our requirement for that program. So 143,750 was budgeted, 9,000 spent. Leaves a balance of 134,689. Public facilities. So these are the improvements that we talked about, planting trees in low to moderate income areas, or doing infrastructure improvements, or improving a general area of a community. So what in this particular program is the street beautification, which is conducted by our Department of Public Works Department. And they plant trees, and he sent me his report today. But it's usually several hundred trees, several thousand shrubs, and they've been very active in planting. I don't know what they do on trimming, but trimming of trees. Oh, okay. The budget is 25,000. They spent 20,000 to date, and they have a balance of 4,889. I can tell you in 1 second here how many trees they actually planted, just for the record. Oh, of course, it's a big spreadsheet that I can't make out on my phone. Okay, we can proceed. Exterior maintenance program has conducted 2,682 inspections. They've been out dealing with some of the code issues. There's a great picture here in the PowerPoint of a house that had a porch that was falling apart and hanging, and that's been improved. And this is it takes time on some of these. I've noticed sometimes you see a picture in 18 and it's finished in 2020, just to get through the court process and giving time to people to do things, but it eventually will get done. So of the 2,270 were new and follow-up referral cases, approximately 1,360 have been resolved. So 50% or so have come to some sort of conclusion. Of the budget is 160,000, 18,000, almost 19,000 has hit the expended account, and leaves them a balance of 141. I think there might be some adjustment here with COVID too. So here's another before and after. The picture here on the left is actually 18 with the shingles hanging on missing from the roof, and you can see on the picture on the right, they finally got a new roof this April. Farmers market improvements. They're going to be doing some seeding and other things like that. All that is out the bid, and they should have those all purchased here in early fall. 60,655. This was a new activity that was funded with the extra money that we received under the CDBG funds. And we closed out one previous activity I forgot to mention, was home security. We used to provide 100 locks and pins for windows under home housing rehab. HUD monitored that program, and it became administratively on what they want. You just couldn't do it. For the cost of the program was like $150. We would spend staff hours more than that to do that program. The police department could do it maybe under a different funding source. What HUD wanted us to do is get copies of taxes and also test for lead for just putting in window pins and door locks. So it just would become, unfortunately, that's the way it goes. So we closed that activity. We just can't do that. Burnham Point neighborhood. I'm actually, Sean's here. Maybe he can highlight where they're at with this program.
Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, this is we had a Better Block event last year, which sort of laid out you can see the photo on this slide that kind of shows we had the neighborhood come out. We engaged the neighborhood, and one of the issues they had is just vehicles speeding through the intersection, neighborhood not feeling safe to walk around their neighborhood and even go to the businesses and things like that. So as part of that, we designed a concept of cutting off some of the street from vehicles and giving it the businesses, and in turn that would slow down traffic. And so last year we did temporary paint at the intersection, and this year we plan to do permanent paint. And the neighborhood, we don't plan to have the neighborhood painted this year because it is permanent paint, and so we're excited about that. We've got it out to bid right now. It's going to be paint and planters and bike lanes, and it's going to give some vibrancy to that intersection and make it a lot safer, and just make people feel more comfortable to just walk around and enjoy themselves. It's very loud right now and very unsafe with cars speeding through there. So hopefully that'll make a big difference. Then the other part of this is we have the city owns a gravel parking lot just east of 60th and Burnham. And we, as part of the Better Block event last year, we did some temporary improvements to it and created some community space. And we had bands and dance, kind of dance lessons and things like that out there, food trucks, seating that the neighborhood built. And so that was sort of a test run to see how it went and how the neighborhood liked it. And so we've since engaged the neighborhood and are excited to do some permanent things there. And so that's what this budget, these two things are what that budget represents. We're in the design phase of the park. And we hope to have some of the equipment purchased by the end of year, and then construction to start in spring of 21. We're very excited about that project. It'll just create a nice community space in what is a really ugly gravel lot right now. So.
I think you went
Farmers
backwards.
market.
You can keep going forward. Here's a great picture of the Better Block project and kind of essentially what's going to be the vision for how to use that space. So under the public facilities, we have 542,855 budgeted. There's around 45,906 expended. Leaves a balance of 496,948. Economic development activity. We did put a little extra money into the community, our economic development loan. We did close a loan earlier this year, right in the midst of COVID, for Carrie's Krispies on Beecher, which is a great addition. And actually, their plan was to share the kitchen with other businesses. And we just had an occupancy application this week for another business to also share the kitchen. So it's going to be a success. It's a nice young family that most of their time of the business has been in a shared kitchen themselves, and now they're growing, and this is the first bricks and mortar location. And everybody says, these decisions are made quick. This was a 2-year process. So they've left and came back, and we got them finally in, and we helped provide some financing with our community development block grant funds, as well as we partnered with they are not of Vietnamese descent, but the Wisconsin Hmong Chamber of Commerce likes to have a diverse portfolio. So they also provide loan money. So we help provide the financing, the CDBG, as well as we're able to leverage not only private dollars, but additional outside economic development groups funds to help with that particular deal. And we have a number of people right now exploring sites. Sean and I are the ones that pretty much handle leads that come into the city, and we figure out how to deal with financing. Some of these deals have been put on hold with COVID, but a number of people were exploring buying their properties. We do have a unique pizza business right now exploring a site. What type of crust do they do, Sean?
I think it's like a cauliflower crust. It's a low carb,
gluten-free
low carb crust
type of crust, and it's become very popular. And seeing this small business has found sales at Rapino's and Capri, and partnering with other local businesses. Now they want a location here. So we're hoping to help attract them to our city. And we did close a loan late last year for the Lapham on 81st and National. And that particular business is affiliated with Bass Bay out in Muskego. And then sometimes you might see the milk can food truck that's sometimes parked out in front. That's the same group. So I think right now with COVID, they're readjusting their plans. And I think they're going to be probably resubmitting and then doing renovation of that property here in the short order. We work with the Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation. They've done activities. They've assisted, their goal is 35 people. They've assisted 31 actually to date. They just haven't sent a draw request yet. We actually technically, to be honest with you, don't even have funding yet for 2020. I think I bring this up each year, that by the time the money flows from the federal government, it's halfway the year's over. So, and then we have to go backtrack on all these things. So we have to wait for HUD to approve everything before we can enter actually into their contract. All right. Commercial facade program, again, a demand-based program. We've recently used some prior year funds to do some building right across the street here, 7506 West Greenfield Avenue. Father Jean's Help Center, we helped with a new facade there. We did 7311 West Greenfield Avenue. And we earlier this year approved a facade grant for Carrie's Krispies, which I mentioned before, which has a teal look to it. And I think it's gonna become more of a charcoal grayish look with their logo on the outside. So more modern type of appeal. And here's actually Tall Guy in the Girls facade grant, which we finished up last year as well too. Here's some other, the 7311 West Greenfield, which is a co-working space. That was a major renovation of a building. So up under economic development right now, it's 342,000. It's expended 572, and we do have a lot of money left there for this year. But I'm hoping, and as we all are, that this economy is going to take off, and we're going to see some more things. But with COVID, it slowed some things down, but at the same time, I think there's still activity. During this time, we had Camino move into our city. We did the reunion financing with some other funds that we had over right across from the new Aurora Clinic. There's a new restaurant moving in there. So we did some financing on that particular one. We did a daycare in that general area. So there's still a number of inquiries, and we hope to see some more activity here soon. So if you looked at all the funds, as I mentioned before, we had a $1,486,000 budget. We spent $160,000 to date, and $1.3 million is left. I chuckle a little bit because I think there's a lot of expenses that need to be flowing yet. It just, people are slow to get their draws in. But we need to, one of the things with HUD is, yes, it's great you have the money. Second thing is you have to spend it, and you have to spend it quickly. That's just the way timeliness is. They do use a factor of 1.5 times your award times what you also hold on from other years. And in my the staff report that we sent out, there are some other years showing all the activities that have money left. There's gonna be a lot of activities closing out, and we'll probably be back before the block grant committee, hopefully in September, trying to reallocate some of those funds. So if you think about for 2021 planning, at the next meeting when we approve funding, you know, we did receive an increase, but I'm just going to hold steady and keep the same amount that we received this year as the goal for next year. I don't know what way our things are going to go. We didn't see the 762,000 coming this year, and then we didn't see the extra money coming for block grant. I'm not going to make any political statement here, but it seems like that amount of money goes down under certain administrations and it goes up under certain and very political times. So that amount of money fluctuates. Bottom line is, there's been people in Congress that say 1 year, let's just eliminate the block grant program. And that usually gets into the budget, and then it changes. And then you end up with more money. And I don't have a rhyme or reason how that works, but that is, yeah. But I just think in the future, as budgets go, I think that money might come down because we have to pay for all these COVID expenses some way or another. Or they're going to redirect money to certain things. So we'll see. That's, if you were going to put a crystal ball in front of me, I guess the best I would offer tonight. So that's what we're going to be looking at for budgeting the next meeting. And I think I have the date wrong here. I think it's September 10th is our next meeting.
Well, I mean,
Is there any questions or comments that anybody has on what we presented this evening? I know I talk fast. I like to keep it within an hour, and I was slow here with the technology, and I apologize. We'll have that fixed by the next meeting.
Patrick, you did a good job.
Thank you, Alderman Vitale.
You did a good job, Patrick.
So at this, that's all we have. If anybody has questions, I gladly answer them. Or I bored everybody on all these.
If I'm homeless outreach, do they have any paperwork or anything that I can pick up? I help out a food.
Oh, like a flyer or something?
Yeah, first food.
I can look into that.
Because we get homeless people coming in all the time.
Okay.
Patrick, are you able to share whatever the question was?
Yeah,
that-
yes, I apologize. The question was,
Okay.
does the Milwaukee County Outreach Program for the Homeless have any flyers that can be shared at local food pantries? Or at churches?
Thank you.
Yep. That was a simple one.
Yeah. Any other questions for Patrick and his team?
Sean Miller is online, and I failed to mention him earlier. He works with me, and we'll be working together on the community development block grant funds. So the next meeting, we'll have him speak, and you won't. I'll be color commentary.
Sounds good.
All right, that's all we have. We can.
There's no questions, and I'll move for motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second,
All right,
Who
all,
said, what was the name of the person that seconded?
Nicole Brinkley.
Thank you. Just if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to email me or call me. I gladly would go over any of these things. The CDBG binder is around a foot thick. So if you have trouble sleeping, I'll gladly lend it to you. Or if you need to prop something up, it's definitely resourceful.
Hope it's not small print.
It's very small print. That's all I have. Well, I appreciate everybody's time.
well, we
Stay
appreciate
well,
all
stay
the-
safe, and stay
Yeah.
masked.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you to Sean Miller.
Thank you,
and
Sean.
That chairperson just as well.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Bye.
Second.
So then I can give you a call to find out if they have
Yep.
flyers.
I will look into that. And
Okay.
I apologize for this technology. Yeah, we've been doing all our other meetings all through Zoom, but I didn't know on the block grant committee if everybody had that access, so.